6 out of 8 cheese products tested in this investigation contain ingredients that have no place in a block of cheddar. One of them is marketed specifically at children. Another has been on British shopping lists for decades and carries a price premium that its label cannot justify, and the brand most associated with British cheese, the one in more fridges than any other, turns out to be the most honest of the 8. That is not the story the industry wants told. After reviewing ingredient lists across 8 brands available in every major UK supermarket, cross-referencing each additive against the UK Food Standards Agency database and EU banned substance records, and comparing current labels against archived versions from 2018 and 2019, here is what the brands are not putting on the front of the pack. The average British household spends over £4,800 on food every year. A significant portion of that goes on dairy, and within dairy, cheese is one of the categories where the gap between what the label implies and what is actually inside the packet is widest. Not because the products are illegal, most of them are not, but because UK food labeling law permits a level of ambiguity that most European countries closed off years ago. In Germany and France, the word cheese on a product label carries a clear legal expectation. The fat must come from milk, not from vegetable oil, and the primary ingredient must be a dairy coagulate. In the UK, the retained food information legislation protects the term in theory. In practice, trading standard investigations have found products carrying the word cheese on the front of the pack where the actual cheese content was below 42%, where the rest was reconstituted skimmed milk, modified starch, and a sequence of phosphate salts that do not appear in any traditional cheese-making process. That is not a fringe finding. 2015 Trading Standards investigation in Derbyshire found that 2/3 of takeaway pizzas labeled ham and cheese contained neither ham nor cheese as legally defined. A which investigation found 6 samples of goat's cheese in UK supermarkets where the majority of the product was sheep's milk. The Food Standards Agency's own guidance uses the term cheese analog to describe products that exploit the image of cheese without meeting its definition. That guidance exists because the problem is real and it is ongoing. The first product in this investigation is one most British parents would recognize immediately: Dairylea. The triangles, the slices, the lunchbox staple that has been in British fridges since the 1950s and is marketed today with claims about calcium, milk, and childhood nutrition. The current ingredient list for Dairylea slices declares cheese at a minimum of 41%. That means in every 100 grams of product, less than half is cheese. The remainder is reconstituted skimmed milk, water combined with skimmed milk powder, whey powder, added milk fat, inulin, modified starch, and a sequence of emulsifying salts: sodium phosphates, triphosphates, polyphosphates, and calcium phosphate. The calcium phosphate is listed separately from the emulsifying salts because it serves a dual purpose. It is both a texturizer and the source of the added calcium that appears prominently on the front of the pack. Here is what that means in practice. The packaging communicates calcium. The ingredient list delivers calcium via a phosphate compound whose excess consumption, according to published nutritional literature, can interfere with the body's ability to absorb and utilize calcium effectively. The product that markets itself on bone health contains the ingredient that, in excess, works against it. That is not a claim this investigation is making. That is what the published Science on Dietary Phosphate Loading says. The Dairylea triangles do not declare a percentage of cheese at all. The ingredient list begins with reconstituted skimmed milk, followed by cheese, which places cheese below 50% by weight almost certainly. You are paying approximately £9 per kilogram for a product where, by the brand's own declaration on the slices version, less than half of what you are buying is cheese. Adjusted for cheese content only, the real cost per gram of actual cheese in Dairylea slices is higher than a block of Cathedral City mature cheddar bought at full price. Dairylea is not illegal. It is classified as processed cheese, which is a legitimate food category, but it is sold in the cheese aisle. It uses the word cheese in its name. Its packaging is designed to reassure parents, and nowhere on the front of the pack does it say that most of what is inside is not cheese. Philadelphia is a different category of product and a different category of problem, where Dairylea is openly processed. Philadelphia presents itself as simple. The front of the pack in the UK shows cream cheese. The marketing language across European markets emphasizes milk, cream, and naturalness. The full ingredient list tells a different story. Philadelphia Original in the UK contains milk, cream, and salt, and then 3 stabilizers: gar gum, sodium alginate, and carrageenan, plus a preservative, potassium sorbate E202. Potassium sorbate is a synthetic antimicrobial. It is effective, it is permitted, and it is not a natural ingredient by any reasonable definition of that word. In some markets, Philadelphia has been promoted with language suggesting the absence of artificial preservatives. The current UK label declares one. The fat content of Philadelphia in European markets has also shifted. Nutritional data from current labels in Spain and the UK shows approximately 25 grams of fat per 100 grams. Earlier product data and current US market specifications show figures closer to 33 grams. That is a reduction of roughly 24% in fat density, which, in a product sold primarily as a rich, creamy spread, represents a meaningful change to what you are buying. Kraft Heinz has not announced a reformulation. The packaging has not changed. The price has not decreased. There is 3 grams of protein per 100 grams in Philadelphia Original. In a mature cheddar, there is 25. You are paying for a dairy matrix that is mostly water, stabilized with vegetable gums and algae extract, preserved with a synthetic compound, and sold with imagery that implies simplicity. That is not illegal. It is, by the standards of this investigation, misleading. Now we move to the category where the investigation becomes more complicated, because the next 4 products are all real cheese, all made from cow's milk, starter cultures, rennet, and salt. None of them contain vegetable oils or modified starch. The question is not whether they are cheese. The question is whether the premium attached to some of them is justified by anything other than packaging and narrative. Tesco Finest Mature English Cheddar and Tesco Everyday Value Cheddar share an ingredient list that is, in practice, identical. Pasteurized cow's milk, starter cultures, rennet, salt. The Finest declares West Country origin and 12 months of maturation at the Davidstow Creamery in Cornwall. The Value Cheddar declares neither. The price difference is approximately 40 to 60% per kilogram. Depending on format and promotion, the 12 months of maturation is real. It is verifiable by the declared origin, Davidstow, and consistent with the flavor profile of a properly aged cheddar. The Value Cheddar almost certainly matures for a shorter period, with less rigorous batch selection, and from a broader pool of milk sources. That difference is genuine. But it is a difference in time and origin, not in ingredients. The Finest is not more cheese than the Value. It is older cheese from a named place. Whether that justifies the price premium is a question each shopper answers for themselves. What this investigation found is that the answer is not hidden. It is on the label, if you know what you are reading. Cathedral City Mature Cheddar is the best-selling cheese brand in the UK. It is also, by the standards of this investigation, one of the most straightforward products tested. The ingredient list contains 4 items: pasteurized cow's milk, starter cultures, microbial enzymes, and salt. It is made at the Davidstow Creamery in Cornwall from milk supplied by approximately 330 dedicated farms in the south, west of England. The British claim is verifiable. The ingredient list has remained stable across available data going back to at least 2018. There is no evidence of silent reformulation, no conservantes, no vegetable source stabilizers, and no additives that require a number. Cathedral City has increased in price significantly since 2019. A 550-gram block that was available at under £3.5 years ago now regularly sits above £4.50 at full price in major supermarkets, with Clubcard and Nectar pricing used to maintain a psychological price point closer to £3. That pricing strategy is a commercial decision, not an ingredient problem. The cheese itself is what it says it is. The same applies to seriously strong extra mature cheddar, produced in Stranraer in southwest Scotland, carrying Red Tractor certification, with a declared maturation period of over 14 months for the extra mature and up to 24 months for the vintage. The ingredient list in the block format contains cow's milk, starter cultures, vegetarian rennet, salt, and in some variants the natural colorant annatto E160B, no lysozyme, no phosphate salts, no modified starch. The allergen declaration confirms no egg, which confirms no lysozyme derived from egg. This is a cheddar doing what a cheddar is supposed to do. Annatto is worth one moment. It is listed on labels as a natural color, and in regulatory terms it qualifies as one. It is derived from the seeds of the achiote tree. It is also an additive with an E number. Products that carry front-of-pack claims about no artificial colors can still contain annatto E160B. The coloring you see in a uniformly golden block of British cheddar is very often not the natural color of the cheese. It is the result of a decision by the manufacturer to standardize appearance across batches. That decision is made for commercial reasons. It is legal, and it is not disclosed on the front of the pack. The Sainsbury's comparison between Taste the Difference and the value cheddar produces the same finding as the Tesco comparison. Both are real cheese. Both use the same basic 4-ingredient formula. Taste the Difference extra mature Cumbrian cheddar declares British milk and regional origin explicitly. The value cheddar declares neither. The price gap reaches close to double per kilogram at standard pricing. The data from Sainsbury's own grocery price index shows that the Taste the Difference range increased in price by approximately 20 to 23% in a single recent year, faster than the category average. The product in the premium pack is not a different kind of food. It is older food from a named place with a higher marketing spend per unit. The brand that passed every test it's in this investigation is not one that appears in a television advertisement. Davidstow Classic Cheddar, available in major supermarkets including Tesco and Sainsbury's, has consistently scored at the top of which blind taste panels for cheddar. Its ingredient list contains 4 items. Its milk comes from Cornwall. Its maturation is documented. It costs approximately 13 to 14 pounds per kilogram, which places it above Cathedral City and Tesco Finest at standard pricing. The premium is not explained by a longer ingredient list. It is explained by the quality of what is inside. A traditional cheddar, made at scale but without compromise on the basics, with no additives this investigation could not justify. Barber's 1833 is the older option. One of the longest established farmhouse cheddar producers in the world, operating within miles of the village of Cheddar in Somerset, producing under the West Country Farmhouse Protected Designation of Origin. That designation requires the milk to come from local herds and the cheese to be made by hand in the traditional manner. The label carries 4 ingredients. The certification carries legal force. The pattern across all 8 products is consistent. The products with the longest ingredient lists are the ones marketed most aggressively at families and children. The products with the shortest ingredient lists are the ones with the clearest origin stories and the most verifiable quality claims. The Food Standards Agency permits all of them. Trading Standards enforces against outright fraud, but not against the kind of structural ambiguity that allows a product with less than half its content as cheese to sit in the cheese aisle next to a block of farmhouse cheddar with identical shelf, height, similar packaging format, and a price that does not signal the difference. That ambiguity is not accidental. It is the product of a labeling framework that was shaped, in significant part, by the industry it was supposed to regulate. Post-Brexit, the UK has the opportunity to tighten that framework. The FSA has not moved on it. Trading Standards does not have the resource to pursue it systematically, and the brands have no commercial incentive to make the comparison easier for the shopper standing in the aisle. The information that changes that equation is on the back of the pack. It has always been there. The industry has relied on most people not reading it. There is one product category this channel has not yet investigated that has a worse record on ingredient transparency than anything covered here. That investigation is already published.